I would like to get you thinking. This time, let me bring to your consideration the advancement of science, and in particular, the way science has been so successful in pushing away everything that has the aspect of caprice or will or whatever is distinct, is different from law. In other, simpler words, thing is that science has been very successful and implanting the idea of a universe that is fully governed by laws. We can speak of a universe that plays by the rules. A sharp contrast can be made between the universe of people before that salient role of science and after that, because before that aspect of science, lightning, for example, would be the result or the reaction of somebody. It was somebody. But then you have that there is a law, and that law, which in this case is connected mainly with electrical charges, it is that law which is responsible for lightning. And that law is fair. It's fair in the sense that doesn't care about who might be affected for good or for worse. So that the universe of people looking at the sky and trying to deduce something about Jupiter's mood and the world in which we live are essentially different in that regard. But then you can ask whether this process has a proper end, because the study of the different types or kinds of laws apparently never ends. So you can move from very basic physical properties to chemical properties, and then you can establish some laws about animal behavior. And once you have reached that point, surely you'd like to move forward and to establish as well what are the laws that govern human behavior and social trends. And you would be very happy to be able to predict that behavior and to make the most of that. What is sometimes called social engineering is an extension of this idea. It is knowledge that is applied to change communities or to change society at large. And the whole purpose of all this is to apply laws for the benefit of some. Ideally should be the benefit of all, but in practical terms that's not the case. So we can read the history of modern science in terms of that invasion, that gaining ground, that pushes away anything resembling a will. But at this point, I suppose, you start wondering whether there is any free will left. not in terms of whether people well equipped with scientific knowledge at some point will be able to have power over us, power to change us, to change our values. That's not the question. That's a horrific scenario, but that's not what I am talking about at this time. But you could wonder if there are laws that are governing it to such extent what we are and do, that we are no longer free, so that freedom is just an illusion. When you reach that point, the term that you probably use is determinism. But we have to be careful, because there are at least two different kinds of determinism. There is determinism in the sense of following a script. When you, for example, read that tragedy, this man that fell in love with his mother, Oedipus, so that he was condemned by fate. It was his destiny to act in such a way, killing, not knowing it, killing his own father and then marrying his mother. He was following a script, so he wasn't free, in the sense that he had to follow that script, and he had to follow his fate. That's one version of determinism. But most probably the version we are now getting closer and closer is the determinism that is connected with scientific law. So, if there are general principles, if there are laws of human behavior that can predict exactly how we will, quote unquote, decide, we are not truly deciding. And you can imagine all the consequences of this, because immediately you ask about responsibility, and then you ask, and this is kind of an irony, you ask about how lawful is to punish somebody that is not really free. Is it correct to have a legal system if people are not really free to do what they think they are deciding or they are doing? Just some food for your thought. The purpose is to get you thinking.